You might be wondering, what's the best way for me to be in service? With all that you see going on in the world, how can you best contribute to a better world? How do you stay aligned with the divine plan that's made specifically for you? Today's guest, Victoria Rader, is going to be on the show to help us answer that question. She is the founder of You Too Shine, and she's got amazing insights into quantum leaping and staying aligned with your particular soul's design. Join us to find out more.
Soul Nectar Show, the Soul Nectar Show. You're invited, delighted to discover who you are. Anything is possible if you believe. So join us on this beautiful journey. Soul Nectar Show, Soul Nectar Show.
Hello and welcome everybody back to Soul Nectar Show, that show where we talk about all things essence, where we gather around the campfire and we share our stories of connection to that which is greater than us, the big mystery beyond the veil, to those synchronistic moments that lead us inexorably to a deeper understanding of who we are and what we're doing here on this blue dot floating around in a sea of stars. I'm your host, Kerri Hummingbird, and I love having these conversations week after week and bringing you new ideas to explore within yourself, new pathways to try, new ways to discover more about who you are. And I know that at this time on the planet, you might be wondering, how can I serve? Because as you look out into the world, you see a lot happening, and some of it you might love, and some of it you might really despise. And some of it you might think is fantastic and wonderful, and some of it you might find tragic. And you might be sitting in the middle of all that wondering, where do I fit in? Why am I here? What gift am I here to bring? What am I going to say or do that somebody hasn't already said or done? How am I going to make a difference? And sometimes that might feel discouraging. Like, I don't know, what's the point? And other days you might feel inspired by something. And so my intention today is to not only inspire you, but also to bring you some strategies for moving yourself forward on a daily basis toward a way that you can contribute that feels really sustainable, really divinely orchestrated, and extremely enriching and fulfilling. This is my intention for today. And to help me with this intention is Dr. Victoria Rader. Welcome, Victoria.
Thank you so much, Kerri. What a beautiful intention. And from such purity of the soul, I'm just taking a chill pill, sitting back and enjoying every moment of it.
Yeah. And you guys, I met Victoria through podcast hosting engine, and we had a beautiful first conversation and connection. And she's done some amazing work that I appreciate in so many areas, but the way that we initially connected was through the Gene Keys transmissions, and how she's done beautiful transmissions from a feminine perspective about each of the 64 keys. And she sent me one that is in my culture, which, if you guys, I think I've told you guys this already, but it's seriousness, delight, and ecstasy. And boy, I can be in some seriousness. And when I am, it's really heavy. It's like wearing a 2,000-pound backpack and trying to stand up. You just can't. And so, like, bringing some more delight into things is really beautiful. And she has some amazing transmissions and realizations, revelations of her own that she got that are a great complement to what Richard Rudd is doing over there in the Gene Keys. And of course, I love the Gene Keys, as you guys know. But she does so much more than that as well. And so I really want to explore Victoria's work today. And she's the founder of You Too Shine. She's a globally recognized transformational speaker, featured in Forbes and CNN, Fox, ABC, and NBC, and a pioneer of quantum personal development. She created innovative tools like the Me journals, little m, capital E. We're going to learn out what that means. And we also have a new journal today that she's going to tell you about. as well as apps, Empower Me and Master Me. And so she's just done so amazing contribution to the collective. Best-selling award-winning author. You know, she's featured in the Zero Limits movie. It goes on and on. So just check the show notes for more information about her path. But we're going to dive just a little bit deeper in because it feels like with all that you've accomplished, and I've kind of been accused of this as well, Victoria, you know, some people say, well, you just didn't have any challenges in life. You just walked on the planet like just boots laced up, as my husband likes to say, ready to go. And you just started creating all this stuff. And that I don't think that's true though, because I know my own journey. I mean, how did you get, I mean, I know you're amazing. So we're gonna cover all your mastery, but like, how did you get to the place where you actually had all of this pour through you so effortlessly?
There's so many starting points, I think, and when we look back at our life, things make more and more sense. I was born in a former Soviet Union, actually in Ukraine. Um, Ukraine, at the time of recording of this episode, is year 5 of being slaughtered by an aggressive country, our neighbor. And, it's not the first time in history. Every 50 years, literally every 50 years or 60 years, there is an aggression on the land. And I can tell you why, because in our national anthem, it states Ukrainians haven't died yet. We got to change our anthem. It's the nation that's been fighting for its freedom on and off for over 900 years of its independent existence. And so I was born a Ukrainian in the former Soviet Union. Grew up every summer. I went to grandma and grandpa in a village where there was no plumbing, no indoor water. And so I went to outhouse in the winter. It was not fun to hike through the garden into the outhouse as a kid. And then, when I immigrated to the United States, I got into real estate, was a very undercover psychic, had a lot of gifts that I've played with a lot as a kid, had some traumatic experiences with that, so suppressed it, went into real estate, got to the top of the chain, only to understand that I had this crying every night because I am an extreme introvert. Who was in an extremely extroverted profession because I was homeschooling my kids and it was paying the bills. So 2013 rolled around and I was at the top of profession, a lot of zeros behind the productivity, 28 million pending. And every month that year, almost clockwise, I am losing a family member or a friend, different causes, 11 deaths through 12 months. And I go through that year, and it became a year that became a catalyst to my divine calling. Because one of those moments, the third death of the year in March, my cousin drowned. My cousin that was only 2 years older, and we grew up as brother and sister because my brother is 12 years younger than me. And I remember sitting and meditating, and at that point, I'm already completely knocked off my feet with all the deaths that have happened in the family, and now it's getting closer and closer to home. And I'm sitting and meditating, and I'm taken to the moment of undeniable experience of his soul leaving his body. And I feel the wave of infinite freedom and joy and light that I cannot either explain or deny the existence of. And everywhere where there was this infinite darkness inside and heaviness, all of a sudden it just lit up with so much comfort and peace and joy. And so as more people died that year, what I was making a commitment with every death, that now I am making a commitment to enjoy life for them. And that because I still have a luxury of taking my next breath, I am going to ignite that joy of being alive in everyone around me. And that is how You to Shine was born in November of 2013. I literally walked into my broker's office and I said, I'm done. You can have all of the listings, I'm done. And I went into complete, oh, hi, Kitty. I went into complete financial survival, walking away from a successful business to a beginner startup business in coaching and programs. But I've never looked back. So that's the journey of living the life and the joy and the commitment. And Kerri, when the war started, when the phone buzzed the first year, I would go into complete PTSD because it was again, what is the next death? So my soul clearly came here to learn the complete acceptance of death so that I can live a joyfully fulfilling life. And I think that is probably the main message through everything that we empower people to reclaim life and live it fully and joyfully.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, I love that that's the conclusion that you came to, right? Like that's where you decided to put your focus and your energy. Because it's so easy, we can put our focus and energy just about anywhere when we have that much tragedy happen around us and in our lives and our hearts are breaking, and we can choose where to place that focus. And so the fact that you chose to focus your attention and your intention on living fully on out and with the presence of death right there by your side is really beautiful. We came to a similar conclusion, that the spirit of death is a really great ally for living. It helps keep us honest. It helps us not waste so much breath on trivial matters and things that don't really sustain us emotionally and mentally.
I think that's very true. And I think that it is also a catalyst for health because if we have any hesitation about death, our bodies will follow the hesitation and prevent death and decay of the cells that must be dying off in order for us to stay healthy. So when you see the cancer, all types of cancer spiking up, and we say, yes, it is environment, yes, it is nutrition. However, it is the subconscious programming of fear of death because you cannot, the subconscious does not understand partial. It's a yes or no. You can't say, oh, I resist death and dying, I'm terrified. And then the body says, oh, so I'm going to hold on to every sick cell and I'm going to extend its life. And so death is such an intricate part of life and it is so beautifully woven into it that when we literally welcome the process of death internally, then and only then can our body assimilate it so fully that it comes alive and is rejuvenated daily. So even on the biological level.
Yeah, and I think that holding on to things and not digesting and not processing and not integrating life experiences because we don't want to feel the pain or the loss or the suffering is an epidemic, right? And so learning how to feel deeply while having the capacity to hold ourselves through those feelings because they can be really intense whenever your perspective is only in the little m,
Mm.
right? But like when we expand, and that's that m, that little m part of me, but when we can expand into the greater sense of self that expands past this lifetime, past this incarnation, into other incarnations, into a larger, vaster self, right? A timeless self. That self helps the small experience, the personality, the current physical embodiment feel way less heavy in my personal experience. Like I had to get outside of the mind, in order to heal myself because I realized that the mind was holding, like trapping wounds inside, protecting it, and that it didn't have the language for what needed healing because the wounds happened when I was so small. I didn't have those words. So language wasn't going to get me, like psychotherapy wasn't going to get me there because the wounding happened so early. I didn't have the language to explain what was happening for me and why I was scared or what was going on. So, in order to get healed, then we've got to get outside the small self, which lives really in the mind, and that's mind self and this projection of self into like a larger, vaster understanding of self. And I think that's what your little M big E is about.
Yeah, so for some reason what's coming through, I'll go to Am and E in a second, but what's coming through, I think that's very important for somebody right now to hear is that there is this falsity about manifestation that it is true that dominant vibration always prevails, that what you feel is what you attract. However, I think it's very important to understand because a lot of people start feeling human emotion, and they start fearing like I laugh when people say, "Oh, I said I need. I can't say that anymore because that means I'm needy. I can't say the word I need anymore." Like this psychosis around the principle. And so what I always say is that what the law of electromagnetism, because the law of attraction is under the law of electromagnetism, and it has to be balanced with repulsion. If you attract, you must repulse. That's the full electromagnetic law. But the tricky part and the beautiful part, the freeing part, is that it's not what we feel. It's not that human pain or struggle or even resentment. It's what we feel about what we feel that universe reflects back. Nobody teaches that. And
Hmm.
that is gold. So when you feel distraught that something happened, you automatically, the higher witnessing power of you then automatically will either diminish, demand, criticize, and, you know, resent that human part of you, or it'll comfort it, accept it, love it, and heal it. That is what the frequency is. It's not denying being human and practicing spiritual bypassing. It is being so vulnerably, powerfully human, and then being so vulnerably, powerfully loving of human experience that then transitions you into that spiritual realm. And so for me, the little am, it's that mortal matter that manifests materially. Last I checked, I do need to eat and poop. I'm sorry if it's a shocking disappointment for some light worker, but my little am must daily be nourished and excreted. I mean, it's there. And so that mortal matter, that the heavier part of us, the particles, they have been regurgitated eternally. And so they have the memory of every life in the cosmic expansion. And so it's tempting to say, just because I have a memory means I have been that. Your mortal matter has been that. That is true. But there is a greater part of you, the eternal energy, the essence of expansion, that has been present through the experience without being lost in the identity of the experience. And so when you feel whatever you feel, as you said, stepping out of it or expanding into the next higher frequency is simply inviting for that part of you that needs it most to be loved the most, not rejected the most. And that is both the process of healing and the process of manifestation and creating the most aligned life.
I love that you said that because one of the lessons I've had to learn so much in my life, because I have judgment in my purpose key, is, you know, accepting myself, right? Loving myself, um, having gentleness and grace for myself. And that is like warm honey. It's just so soothing and everything melts, when you actually give yourself that grace versus like, I shouldn't be feeling this way or I need to toughen up, and this whole, I was never really good at poker face. Like, everybody always knew how I felt. And I always try to play poker face because everybody else plays poker face. And then they're like, I'm losing the game if like they know exactly how I feel because I wear my heart on my sleeve. And they, and it's obvious. And they're like, oh, everybody knows how you think and feel because then it also emanates off of me like big time. So, like, I realized I can't play poker face. Like, I really can't. I'm just not designed for poker face. Some people play it really well and I just can't. So like learning how to accept that emotional part, the emotional wave that moves through me as part of my design is really here not only for myself, but even for those people who say, "Oh, I don't want that." Well, you say you don't want that, but actually you're right next to me and it's happening. So obviously some part
You
of you wants it.
co-manifested it. Yeah.
Some part of you put you right here next to me while this was happening. So I think you do want it at some level. But it was like kind of getting untwisted, like by incorporating the E part of your equation, like by incorporating my essence into my lived experience, my understanding of myself as beyond this experience is paradoxically what allowed me to come deeper inside this experience and fully embody as this experience because I also have this. So it wasn't like I think a lot of people get stuck on just want to go to the big E.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't want to go back to the M. Like it's too heavy, it's too dense, it's too emotional, it's too sticky, it's too icky, it's too messy, and it is all those things.
Mhm.
Yes, it is. But that's the experience we came to have. And so it would be ridiculous to not have it. I think, it's like, why would you come all the way here to inhabit this physical realm and then just
Yep.
try to bypass it and get out of it? Like
I'm with you. I
I
am
did
so
this
with you.
grounding meditation for this group, and it was like an ongoing spiritual group thing that I was doing, and I had to finally end that whole experience because I really need to just focus on people who want the medicine I have to offer, right? But I was leading a very simple grounding, and this person was like, "I don't want to be grounded at all. I want to get away from this planet. I hate this place. Don't tell me I need to put my roots in the ground. I don't want to be here." I was
Yeah.
like, you are here. I mean, let's just like empirical reality. You are here on the planet in a body. So, like, you can tell yourself you're not, or you can just simply learn how to be with this experience, right? And I think that's what you're saying, what you're talking
Yep.
about. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's just that it's either or, right? It's I work with universal laws all the time, and because this earth is run by the law of polarity, we tend to be either or versus both. And so whenever you catch yourself in an either or picture, just always step outside and say, well, what would be the both sides, right? What is the both? What are all the aspects? And that automatically has a possibility of solving a lot of issues, just by understanding there is more than one side to the story, allows for you to come up with better solutions, like in a pragmatic, practical way. So,
And I think it gets rid of the ladder, right? Like it just
yes.
it obliterates the need for the ladder because you actually don't need the ladder. You don't need to climb above this human experience and crawl out of it. Like you're not going to climb up to the heavens and sit on the clouds. Like what we're here to do is be in the experience. And this is why I love the medicine wheel teachings because it gets us back, all the parts matter equally, not one over the other. They're all really important. The E you're in the medicine wheel, the E you're talking about is one part of the experience. It's a very important part, but it's like one quadrant, and then everything else is part of why we're here. So tell us more about, I know you do a lot of work quantum, and people have been saying this word quantum and bandying it about like all over the place, like quantum healing this and quantum shift this and quantum, 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 quantum. And then I hear the indigenous people saying, why do you want to rush things so much? Because you're part of this experience, so just enjoy it. So where do you land in this whole, because I've seen so many takes on this quantum thing. So what's
Well,
your perspective?
um, in 2019, I had a very strong prompting to take December 2019. I had a strong prompting to take all my different programs and put them online as a subscription. And I was guided to call it quantum freedom. And if you go back, the quantum frenzy doesn't start till 2022, by the way. It's fascinating for me to watch that. And so I was guided to call it quantum freedom. So I did. Um, and then a month later, we launched it on January 2020. And 2 months later, the world shut down for COVID. And we had the best business because we were fully transitioned to support people through continual, embodiment of energy healing and in practical ways, as a company. And so In my case, I actually have a degree in quantum mechanics, so it's not an afterthought.
Okay, so please help
So
clarify this for everybody.
so the amazing thing and the best way to simplify it is that everything that is quantum field, period. And so you could actually say a quantum refrigerator and a quantum door and a quantum dog and be right. Everybody is right. Adding the word quantum to everything actually is the true description because underneath all of experience as observed or lived is the quantum field of possibility. So we are all a part of a vibrating matrix of energy. That energy has infinite possibility of expression. The way we observe reality locks us into that quantum version of reality. Shifting the way you perceive reality and imagine it is what people call quantum jumps your lines, if you choose to do so. One of the exercises I've done for over 2 decades, I call it quantum aura clearing, which is because we are one field, we're exchanging energy codes, and a lot of them are done involuntarily. You could go to bed in a good mood and you wake up feeling like crud and you're like, what happened? I mean, and a lot of things could have happened. It could have been that your higher self has done some healing across the globe while you were asleep, or it could have been because we're one field. Somebody thought of you negatively and sent the energy your way, and because your aura wasn't fully closed, aura is the boundary of your energy field, because within oneness of the field, we have sacred boundaries, and both need to be in perfect balance. We are one, not through disappearing, but through appearing in our fullness. The more we appear in the fullness that we are, the more we experience oneness. It's difficult for the brain to understand it, which is why a lot of very talented, uh, empathetic people attract narcissistic experiences because they have a violation of a boundary. An empath feels everything and does not necessarily have the identity, has the knowing of how to keep the identity of a boundary. And a narcissist breaks through all the boundaries. And so you have a lot of these painful, this earth experiences of high spiritual expression with low spiritual expression partnerships because of misunderstanding on a subconscious level that while we're all one quantum field, it is our sacred duty to keep a clear boundary. Because every time an empath heals, we heal a narcissist. Because when a narcissist has nobody to engage within their behavior, they have an opportunity to heal. It's fascinating to realize that.
Yeah, you just described my first relationship. I,
Wow.
it takes a long time to heal from it, I would
Yeah.
say, because an empath is by nature somebody who has integrity, who
Yeah.
can feel things, who doesn't give up on people, who's responsible, who's like can be an overgiver, an overdoer, and somebody who has a sort of identity based in all those things, right? And so that's an energy leak. That's a huge power leak when you don't have a good boundary around it because giving has to happen from overflow.
Mm.
So you got to take care of yourself first. And, you know, if you feel guilty for not giving, that's a clear sign you're out of balance with yourself. You're not in right relationship with your true self and you've got some conditioning. I mean, it has taken me the psychotherapy, the shamanic healing, so much to get to the bottom of like why it is that that was happening. And then I just wrote this article on Substack called The Pebble in Your Shoe because it's like a pebble. It's like you get it down from a rock all the way to a pebble but it's still hanging out in your shoe. And it's like,
Mm.
why is it still in the shoe? And that could take a while. It's kind of reminds me of what Richard Rudd said about like when you think you're so enlightened and you're to the top of the mountain, but like the egoic personality is still like the lichen on the rocks. It's like you still contending with these patterns and this healing. It just takes time to unpack all the little pieces and dissolve all the little things and love everything. And one of the last hooks is thinking that you're responsible for other people's journeys. And we're not. We're responsible for our own journey.
Mhm. Yeah, I say that as long as you define responsibility as need to control the outcome, that is
Because it
always,
makes me
yeah,
uncomfortable, right?
yeah, it is always draining. But I love to redefine responsibility as responsibility.
Ability to
As
respond.
as ability to respond. And so your responsibility grows in quality, not in quantity, as your ability to respond through love increases. And love doesn't make a choice. Love doesn't choose love them or you more. Because them or you, them versus me, loving them or self-love was an afterthought of humanity. Love is. When love is present, you don't think in terms of self-love or others' love because you're in love, which means the boundary is immediately established and you honor what is best for all involved. Because it's not best for us to, for them, to, for us to enable a monster. It really is not the
No,
best for
it's not
them,
best for
right?
the kids.
It's not the
It's
best
not
for
best
anyone.
for anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got
And
to.
and that's the journey. And so it's like, well, and then being kind with yourself because your responsibility might be different because once again, different days have different signatures. And we haven't even touched the whole cosmic movements. I
Oh
mean,
my goodness, there's more.
we're affected by the
Yeah,
moon. Okay, we know that. How
yeah.
about all of cosmos? All of us are affected by all of cosmos all the time. It's just the fact. Whether we understand, know, and study it, or we are just simply subjects to that. But there are days when no matter what you do, your energy will be lower because somehow Saturn is crawling through your house of energy or whatever, right? I'm speaking
Or
out
my
of
favorite would be Pluto, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, Pluto was the one thing, speaking of Pluto, the one God's grace, and I say God, greater world designer. I don't mean for the word to trigger anybody. I'm trying to heal that word. So, one of the God's graces in 2013 was that just prior to the year, I get my chart reading from one of my favorite friends. And speaking of Pluto, he said the Pluto is there present through the whole year. So you will probably say a lot of goodbyes. Just knowing that there was a divine timing for every one of these goodbyes brings infinite peace. Now, with all the work that I've done, I now know without a shadow of a doubt that the moment of the first breath and the last breath is in the matrix of the existence and it is locked in.
And
I
we're
just
back at
know it.
death. We're
Yeah.
back at, and the thing is, when somebody departs physically, it's so easy, right, to let go. But like when you have an ongoing family, and I know a lot of people that have this situation,
Yeah.
right? They've got family situations right now where they've got somebody that's like the pebble in the shoe, and they don't
Mm,
know how to be loving, how to show up loving with this person who's just kind of
yeah.
digging in and refusing to crack open.
Yeah.
That's just their path. Maybe they're just meant to stay the pebble. I don't know. Maybe that is their divine calling. Who knows? But like, I think what you're saying is like the first thing is like we've got to honor the truth of things, which is love. But love doesn't mean like being a doormat for somebody. Love doesn't mean staying silent when something needs to be said.
No,
Love doesn't mean any of that. And
no,
love
no.
also doesn't mean like forcing someone to forgive and reconcile when they're not capable of that for whatever reason in this lifetime. We don't know why. So,
Kerri, I love Einstein's quote. He said, simplify, make things as simple as possible and not simpler. And that's how I live and build my business. Make it as simple as possible, but not simpler. Because if it's not, and so we've simplified love to life originating vibrant emotion or energy in motion. That's what love is, which is why you hear God is love, universe is love. It's life originating, vibrant emotion. So if it adds to life, if it expands life, if
yeah.
it breathes life into you, that is love. If it robs life, if it violates life, the kitty's like, I want to talk
He
about
really wants
love.
to be part of this episode, you guys.
He
I've been
should.
trying to hold him off the whole time.
No, he should. He absolutely should.
He's
And
like, I
so,
love
and
this.
that's it. Yeah. And it's that simple, you know. And so when somebody abusing you and tells you that it's love, you can ask yourself, am I expanding? Is my body breathing? Is my life breathing? Is there more life? Because if there is more life, it's love. Like he's bringing love right now.
Oh, yeah.
He's bringing love. He's just expanding it. So yes. What's his name, Kerri? What's your kitty's name?
His name is Sensei.
Oh my gosh, yes, master. He is a total master.
He is a master. Yeah, he is. That's why his name is Sensei.
Yeah.
Thank you, honey. We're
Hmm.
gonna curl up right there, huh? Okay.
So sweet. He's giving me
Yeah.
his left hip. His left hip needs a little bit of healing. That's what we're gonna do for him since he's here already. That's really cool. Sweet little kitty. Hmm.
Yeah, he's a good boy.
Yeah, you feel the tingles, you're gonna start little talking because we're gonna tingle that left hip for you. Yeah. Oh, there go the ears. I love it.
Yeah, he's a sweet guy.
Hmm.
I mean, I think what the thing I love the most, the thing that brings me the most aliveness is when there's expansion and alchemy and transformation, and when stuck areas move.
Hmm.
Like when stuck areas move and they soften, dissolve the stuck, hard little craggy places, and then everything turns into a glowy flow. That's my thing. I love that. I love when that happens. And so I think that's why I get fixated on the pebble in the shoe, because it's like it doesn't want to, it doesn't want to be dissolved. It doesn't want to
Yeah.
flow. It doesn't want to glow. It doesn't, it's like it's a high, what do you call that when they won't accept water? It's like the thing that the dirt is so hard and so cracky and so
Yeah.
that it literally it wants the water, but it literally can't receive the water. And I think there's a lot of people like that in a lot of people's family systems right now.
You know, what I've come to understand is that when things are persistent, it's because we learn more virtues through them than through anything else. So, a very practical approach would be to sit down with a pattern that is repetitively a pebble in the shoe and ask yourself, what are all the positive lessons I'm learning? What is the positive undercurrent I'm getting? And finally, what are all the virtues I'm developing? Because usually the persistent pain is the greatest master. And once you understand all the lessons, then you can commit to your creator, however you address God. You can commit and say, I'm ready to be learning these from the Spirit directly or from God directly by passing this experience as a master. But until we know what we're learning, we will repeat it, we will recreate it. And very often, what would be a good example? Um, Usually, very, very often, we're learning the opposite of what we're experiencing. So, if we're experiencing agitation, we're learning inner peace. If we're experiencing loneliness, we are learning how to belong. Very often, the lesson is the absolute opposite, and we don't know how to learn it without the law of polarity, through the alignment. So, speaking of which, I told you I'm so thrilled that you and
Yeah.
I have scheduled this beautiful conversation and rescheduled it, and things moved
I know.
around. And just last week, so for 2 decades, I have lived what I call a quantum alignment. And so last Sunday, sorry, I got a hair in my eye. Last Sunday, I woke up and practiced this daily alignment practice that I have. And the answer came in immediately. You need to create Quantum Journal, which is this very practice that you've benefited for 2 decades and you've created lots of miracles. Wouldn't be nice to like gift it? Um, and so I personally don't work on Sunday. It's my sacred day of rejuvenation. It's family, it's spiritual practices. And so I haven't worked on Sunday pretty much ever. And so, but the feeling came in, it isn't a work, it's sacred offering. You're going to create it today. And so on Sunday, I channeled and created the journal. Monday, Tuesday, my team in Ukraine have created the typeset and the cover. On Wednesday, we did second revision. We submitted it over Thursday, Friday, and it was the busiest week of the year for me because I was doing a butterfly fundraiser for Cold to Rescue. By the way, we raised like 36,000 doing a business fashion show for a charity that rescues kids from human trafficking. We took the darkest of subjects and did it in the lightest of ways, and it was gorgeous, you know? So that week, I'm like, I don't have time for this as I'm creating it. Long story short, that journal took its first breath today, Kerri. I mean, I'm going to celebrate with you that.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and so
Congratulations on that.
Thank you. And so what I want to offer is that what the journal itself, as you've mentioned so beautifully, it's a process of expansion. So what the journal is, it first takes you through a practice of daily grounding. It's minutes to do. I've actually recorded a video for anybody who wants to hear it. It's on YouTube. And so it's the grounding of your aura, cleansing of the aura, and then matching the blueprint of the highest expression of a God vision. Once again, great overall designer's vision for you for the day. And you match it into your aura. And that quantum leaps you into the highest probability of a quantum field for the day. And then you expand it through the day and you see where it goes, where it's needed most. And then in that state of expansion, you go to the alignment for the practical application, where you have a theme of the year that you set for the year. You have a theme for the months that is aligned with the year. But then every day, in that state of expanding, you're asking a question: what is one action to take, one decision to make, or one one question to ask, decision to make, or action to take today to thrive through my theme of the months. And when you commit to that daily practical implementation of an absolutely aligned experience, it supersedes any goals you could have set. It puts you on a trajectory of a miraculous alignment. And I can tell you hundreds of stories over 2 decades that I've lived through, practicing that. One of them made it to the movie you've mentioned, Zero Limits movie, and that is where my nephew was diagnosed with 5 serious heart conditions in utero. The beginning of that year, my theme was helping hands, healing hearts. And I was driven daily into every possible modality of healing. I've mastered theta healing, you name it, quantum healing, Reiki. It was a full year. And then in October, we learn of a diagnosis. In December, he is born with 5 severe heart conditions, scheduled to have the first surgery 24 hours from birth. He has a complete coarctation of the artery, which means there's no oxygen that is reaching the heart. He has 2 valves that are open, not closing. He has a hole in the heart and a murmur in the heart. And so all that preparation, I was first working and healing my brother and my sister-in-law for the genetic to move within the baby. So long story short, we avoided the first surgery and were released to go home from the hospital, and a second and a third. And after 11 months of healing, all of his heart conditions were healed, and his file actually says medical miracle. It's the most poignant, close to home experience for me. And he's 9 now. I just went to his recital on Father's Day
Oh,
and
that's
adore it.
beautiful.
And so that's more of a poignant, powerful story, but there's so many little funny alignments. And so I'm really excited about this journal and what it'll do for any soul seeking to live in divine alignment with their purpose.
Yeah, I think daily practice, any daily practice that you can take on, you guys, is a really good idea because the alignment isn't a one time set it and forget it because things are in motion, things are moving, things are always constantly changing. Every single change we make inspires thousands, trillions of other changes. And so, in order to stay aligned with your highest destiny path, as I like to call it, you've got to stay aligned. It's a daily practice, right? And it's a checking in. So I love that you're bringing this journal for people to use to get aligned, to tap in, to with their divine plan and then to get the first step. And the first step thing has been coming up in meditations and things recently as well for my people, like a meditation. And I'm told to tell them, look down on the ground. There's like a golden brick. It's the first brick of the yellow brick road. And you just step on the brick.
Love
And
it.
that's your step for today. And then there'll be the next step of the yellow brick road will show up for you tomorrow. It's like, wow, that's cool. Things like that. We're stepping into the wild. We're stepping into the unknown. We're into the mystery. We're not living by, um, ordinary reality anymore. We're stepping into the potential, I think, and what you're talking about with quantum thinking is to step into non-ordinary reality all the time.
Yes.
And yeah, and where the magic and miracles are just stuff we didn't understand about life, about how it works, right?
I love it. I love it. And as you were describing it, I saw that little brick and the joy. And by the way, delight and ecstasy in
I
that.
know.
Congratulations.
Yeah. I've been working on it for a while, but your meditation definitely helped to get some of the underpinnings of like
Yeah.
what was underneath there that was keeping it in place. And one of the things was responsibility. Anyway,
Mm.
I don't want to give it all away because you guys should go check it out. But so I know that you have this book. I'm going to put a link to Quantum Me, the journal. It is for sale at Amazon and I'm sure other places as well. So I'm going to put the link down below where you guys can go get your copy if you want to try that out today and see how it works for you. Is there anything else that you want to share with anybody today who's listening
I
before we
think
go?
the intention for this conversation was to awaken in somebody the memory that they're worthy and deserving of the joy that is there for them. And I think that would be just my one point to go back to. I love to say that if the space and time continuum, speaking of the quantum field where you are currently, that your little cells occupy, if there was a greater way to fill that space, it would have been done so. Because universe is the most efficient mechanism in all of creation. And so just the way you are as you are is the best version it is capable of at this time. So once you accept it, you can then enjoy it and then the miracles follow. So you, as you are now, are great enough to be loved fully and completely. And when you allow for that love fully and completely, you will not want to remain trapped. You will want to be free. So allow for your worth to free you versus staying a prisoner trying to earn it. You're already worthy. You're already worthy.
Excellent. I love that. And I also want to represence what you said about the pebble. Yeah. Like when you find that pebble in your shoe, how can you see the grace that it's giving you? How can you see the mastery that it's offering you? How can you see um, the lesson plan, your soul's curriculum inside of it, right? In my words.
I
Is
love
that,
it. I love it. I love it so much. It's beautiful.
yeah, it's gorgeous. So, well, you guys, thank you, Victoria, for coming on the show and for sharing your wisdom. I'm so grateful to connect with you yet again and hope this will be one of many conversations. And I welcome everybody to share this out, like, subscribe, share with a friend, any place you want to let people know about what we're doing over here on Soul Nectar Show and what Victoria's doing in her community. You too shine. And I'm going to give kisses. So if you'd like to join me, Victoria, I end the show with Reiki kisses. So here they come, everybody. Love you so much, everybody. Thanks for staying to the very, very end. And we'll see you next time on Soul Nectar Show. Bye for now. If you found even one gold nugget in this episode of Soul Nectar Show, will you do us a favor? Will you subscribe, like, and share this episode? Maybe even write a comment and let us know what you thought about it. We really, really want to engage with you at a much deeper level. Let's be part of community together. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.
Soul Nectar Show. Awaken, awake, the Soul Nectar Show. Take a sip from the drip of the nectar, from the source of who you are.